page to the AFC playoff picture. Oh, wait. Okay, now flipping the page to the AFC playoff picture. For those listening right now, we had to flip over to Skype. Zencaster was having a Caesar salad on us, and it just wasn't great. So now we're trying video Skype, which no one can see if you're listening to our podcast, but I just see Ozzy grinning at me. So this is pretty hilarious. Our first experience with video capabilities of Skype. The future is now a coward, so hop on board. Anyways, AFC playoff picture. The Baltimore Ravens control their own destiny. They're at 12-2. Is there really any way the Patriots can take that number one seed from them, Ozzy?
No. It looks like that it's a foregone conclusion that the Ravens will be taking the first seed just because they have the tiebreaker on the Patriots. They'd have to drop their last two games to the Browns and the Steelers, which isn't out of the realm of possibilities. But I just don't trust either of those teams. I think the Ravens are just way too strong right now, so we'll give that one to the Ravens.
All right, and then moving down the list, the Patriots look like they're a lock for that number two seed. Obviously, they'd have to drop a game to the Bills and have the Chiefs win out in order for the Chiefs to leapfrog them, but that's not really outside of the realm of possibilities, Ozzy. Could you see the Chiefs leapfrogging the Patriots?
I could, but I don't want to believe that the Patriots will drop one to the Bills this week, because that's the only one that I'm really worried about. I don't know. Every time we've played Josh Allen and the Bills, they've been tough, but we find a way to win those games. So I trust Bill Belichick and company to scheme up a nice W here.
All right, and moving down the list, so you have Baltimore at 1, the Patriots seemingly at 2, the Chiefs locking up that third seed. It would take kind of a catastrophic collapse based on their play as of late to have Houston take their spot over at the number 3 seed. And then Houston hasn't solidified their spot at number 4. The Titans still very much in it. But, based on the Texans winning that matchup against Tennessee this past week, it looks like they're in the driver's seat to secure the division title. And then you have the Buffalo Bills at 5 and still a 3-team race for 6. Zachary, your Browns are still alive.
That's right, they are. That's going to happen, right? I don't even know how it's possible.
So here's what needs to happen, Zach. Essentially, we need a 4-way tie between Pittsburgh, Tennessee, and Cleveland. Sorry, a 3-way tie. Oh, no, a 4-way tie between Pittsburgh, Tennessee, Cleveland, and Indianapolis, okay? So here's how this would happen. You'd have Indianapolis go 1-1 down the stretch, okay? Let's see if I have that right. Yes. Or no, they need to go 2-0, sorry, down the stretch. They're 6-8. They need to go 8-8, okay? You need Cleveland to win their last 2 games to get to 8-8. All right, you're with me so far? Good. You need Pittsburgh to go 0-2 down the stretch. They play the Jets. Ooh, hey, they play some teams pretty tough. And in the final week, the Steelers play the Ravens. Ravens, depending on if they rest starters or not, that could be key. Then you have the Titans, who are currently 8-6. You need them to lose to the Saints. Very possible. And then you need the who are they playing? You need the Texans to finish them off in the final week.
I get it. It's probably because if the Colts finish 8-8, they leapfrog Tennessee for the second spot in that division. Is that right? Yeah. And then Tennessee's third in that division. And then that probably negates the loss that we had to them. And we beat the Steelers earlier in the year, closer than how they beat us. So I don't know, maybe.
I have an article open here. So based on the NFL's tiebreaker rules for the wild card, a 3-way tie featuring the Browns, Steelers, and Titans would knock out Pittsburgh but give Tennessee a head-to-head tiebreaker over Cleveland. A 4-way tie including the Colts, however, would eliminate both the Titans and the Steelers. With Cleveland well positioned to win the tiebreaker over Indianapolis if they win out.
Holy crap.
Oh, dude.
Let's go.
Could you imagine the eliminated Colts coming back to knock out the Titans and the Steelers? But only to have Cleveland leapfrog them into the final spot. Oh my goodness.
Cleveland.
Does Indianapolis play Tennessee?
Indianapolis plays their final 2 weeks. They are playing the Panthers, who are starting Will Grier at quarterback, and the Colts play the Jaguars final week of the year.
Will Grier did not look good in the preseason.
No, this is
there's a chance.
Hey, there's promise.
We'll see if those guys went out of Cleveland when they're in the wild card, hey?
Yeah, frick. Oh man.
That's another story for another time. So, Ozzy, why don't we go to you? What are your predictions of seeing what happens? Obviously, it'd be great to see Cleveland do this, but how do you actually see it playing out?
Yeah, so I obviously putting Baltimore in first, New England in second seed, and then the Chiefs will stay in third, Houston in fourth, and then Buffalo fifth, and I'm not going to say Cleveland, but I think the Steelers will take it, but I want to say Tennessee. Oh, I don't know. I'm going to stick with Pittsburgh because I just think that defense will do enough to get them into the playoffs. But, that's a tough one. Yeah. Okay, yeah, we'll stick with Pittsburgh. Who do they play this week? Sorry.
The Jets in New York.
Oh, right. Yeah, so I'm going to stick with those.
Zach? Yeah. For me, like the top three seeds are pretty much in place already. I think New England, is going to come in and do what they do against the Bills. Unfortunately, everyone would love to see a Buffalo win there. Hey, Oz. Houston,
no one quite circles the wagon like the Buffalo Bills. Isn't that right, Zachary?
That's freaking right.
Yeah.
And then Cleveland's going to win out. Indianapolis is going to win out. And the Texans the Titans and the Steelers are both going to lose out. And then the Browns are going to make the 6th seed. So that's what's going to happen. We have to have the most difficult way to get in there after all the shit that's going on in Cleveland right now. And then Freddie Kitchens is going to go on to win a Super Bowl. Nobody's ever going to question him again. No, I'm totally kidding.
Oh my goodness!
But that's what we can hope for here in Believeland.
Okay, so for my predictions, I have the Ravens at number 1, New England number 2, Kansas City number 3. I think Houston finishes it off and takes the number 4 seed. They'll beat Tampa and probably solidify that. Buffalo number 5. I really don't want Pittsburgh in the playoffs. Like after that performance against Buffalo, I feel like it'd just be a waste of time having them go to Kansas City just to get their ass kicked. Whereas I think Tennessee could play them a lot harder. I don't know if I'd give Cleveland much of a shot against KC, but
hey,
I'm going to predict the Titans make the playoffs at that 6th seed. If they go 1-1 down the stretch, that puts them at 9-7. Potentially, you have the Steelers lose out. Duck Hodges inspired no confidence in me, and I think the Jets, if they're on one of their good days, I could see them and winning that game. And the Ravens, even if they rest starters in the final week, I still think are a vastly superior team. And even they might even play their starters for the first half, which would be enough to put the Steelers away, in my opinion. So I have the Titans with that getting the 6th seed and making the playoffs a little more interesting in the AFC.
I couldn't agree more about making it more interesting. I think the Steelers, it's funny how even we look at the Steelers getting there, like with Big Ben in years past, they're still that team that we're like, yeah, they made it. They're probably going to lose to the Patriots. Like they just don't instill any confidence no matter what. It's like Tomlin does this amazing job in the regular season, gets to the postseason, and he's like, okay, cover 2 every single play against Brady. It will work. It's like, oh God, here we go again. But
I like what you said, Steve, about the Titans making it interesting because they're a team that even with Marcus Mariota, where they were like a 9-7 team, you can book it every time, and they're just so inconsistent. That still is in play. Like Ryan Tannehill has that team even a little more consistent than years past, and they are a team that could knock out a team like the Kansas City Chiefs. And I'd be super pumped if the Titans did make it in that case and made the Titans or the Chiefs sweat a little bit. But the Steelers there with Duck Hodges, he's not the answer. He's not going to do anything in the playoffs. I just think that's how it's going to go. But the Titans would be lit. Shout out to Lash.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I'm going to try to piece together this segue. The Texans play the Buccaneers, who employ Jameis Winston at quarterback, who is playing himself into potentially a new contract. Guys, he's looked quite unreal. I think he's the only quarterback in NFL history to throw for, what was it, more than 480 yards in 2 games in a row? Or what was it? And
460 or 450.
yeah, and he's also 450, I believe it was, and he's also set the franchise record for Tampa Bay with 30 touchdown passes on the year, which I'm surprised Rich Gannon never broke back in 2003. But yeah, mind you that the defense was the one that carried him to that Super Bowl. Guys, is Jameis Winston playing himself into a new contract, potentially, if it's not with the Bucks, with a brand new team? And if so, what does that mean for the rest of the quarterback picture in the NFL? Ozzy, what say you, my friend?
Oh man, well, he's definitely playing himself into a new contract. Like Blake Bortles got a contract extension with the Jags before. I mean, that was dysfunctional franchise, but anyways, he still has work with the Rams and stuff. So Jameis Winston, absolutely. I think is he on pace for like 5,000 yards or something like that?
I think
Or
he leads the NFL in passing yards right now. Yeah.
yeah, so he's on pace for 5,000 yards, I'm pretty sure, and 30 touchdowns, 30 interceptions. Can you believe that we're talking about this guy earning a contract with 30 being on pace for 30 interceptions? That's nuts.
He's like Thanos, all things balanced. Oh shit.
Might as well have me at quarterback back there. But I do think that he will. I wanted him to be on a different team. I just think a fresh start for Jameis Winston would be fantastic. But I think that the Bucks are a team that are going to. They're not going to fuck around, and they're actually going to re-sign him. And that's
Here's
my
the thing,
prediction.
though. The Bucks have quietly had a pretty good year, and that's with some injuries at key spots. I think Bruce Arians has brought out the best version of Jameis Winston I think we'll see. That includes all the interceptions, but maybe there's even room for improvement there where Bruce can limit those mistakes next year and actually make Jameis I won't say franchise quarterback, but a potentially great quarterback. The arm strength's there. Obviously the numbers are there this year. He just needs to work on his decision making. If I'm the Buccaneers, guys, you're going to finish anywhere between 7-9 or 9-7. So you're not in really prime spot to take a top 3 quarterback or something, Those will probably go in the top 10. Are you sure you can get a better quarterback next year in the draft than Jameis Winston? Are we sure that's the case? I haven't looked at this year's crop of quarterbacks, but are we sure that's the case? Considering that, let's say they pick at 15, they go 8-8 and pick at 15 or 16. What do you think?
Do you know lots about the quarterbacks or no?
I know a little bit, not enough to.
Okay.
What I would say though, you're saying it's his best year, but Winston has always produced with a lot of yards and a lot of touchdowns. And over 5 years or 4 years now, we haven't seen him bring down the picks once. That's with Bruce Arians and everyone. Yeah. I think we have what we have with Winston at this point. I think he's a guy who's going to go in there. He's going to make some flashy ass plays here and there, and then he's just going to throw up 4 picks in a game. That's why I think he's more suited as a backup, because I think he's more of a if your team is 10-6, you're going on a playoff run, you want a guy who can go in and make those plays, not just manage. But at the same token, he's got a lot of risk on that too. So you got to try and eliminate those, but allow the big plays, which he can do. I think he is better suited as a backup in this league. I think it's been shown now. He's had the weapons now for 3 straight years, really good weapons. And his decision making at times, if we're going to give shit to Derek Carr, we better give shit to Winston here too. He's actually made some of the most boneheaded interceptions I've ever seen in the NFL, man. I've never actually seen something quite like it. But I think he has a place in this league, and I think he'd be a top-end backup. I don't think he's a starting quarterback in this league, though.
Yeah, I would agree. I think that Winston has to lead the NFL in its 100-year history in opening drive pick sixes.
Oh.
Is that true?
No, he has to. He just ever since his first throw was a pick six, and that's pretty much summed up his career. That was a foreshadowing of his career. As far as the crop of quarterbacks this year, Steve, I think the Bucks might be in luck. They could see themselves at a 15 overall pick, kind of in that range, like the Redskins were last year. You've got Tua Tagovailoa, Justin Herbert, Jake Fromm, and Joe Burrow is the latest hot name, the Heisman winner. So you've got 4 good quarterbacks, and I don't know if we see them go like we did in the 2018 draft with Sam Darnold, Baker, Josh Allen, and those guys. But like there is some good talent this year, and so maybe you sign Winston to like a 1 year, or you franchise tag him or whatever, and you see what you have for 1 more year, and then you kind of take a flyer on one of these guys that maybe fall to you. But the thought of Winston as a long-term option, it doesn't sit well
Okay.
with me.
So how about this? What if the Buccaneers franchise tag Jameis Winston? I'm not sure how much that would be. It'd be in the 20 millions, I think, at this point.
27 million, I think, yeah.
And then what if they took Tua? Because he's gonna fall with that. What did he have? Like a hip injury or dislocated his hip or something tragic? And they took him and they say, okay, Jameis, you got 1 year to go prove yourself. We got this guy. He's got a red shirt for the year, and then you play for your contract.
I think at that end though, you just draft Tua, who before his injury was looked at as the #1 overall pick for a very long time.
Mm-hmm.
I think Winston would kind of get the sense that even if he played amazing, it might be like, well, they'd have to do really, really good. Like the team would have to be like in a battle for high seeding in playoffs, and his stats would have to jump off the board to then dethrone a guy like Tua, who's on that rookie contract and shows a lot more maturity than Winston. Like Tua's I think he's been known for how mature he is as like a person,
as a leader,
and like as a leader. And Winston, he's been shown as a leader, but he has a lot of off-field stuff that comes with him, right? Like that's an interesting one, Steve. Like they would have to frickin' make a run at the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
For Winston to hold on to that long-term contract with them in that situation.
I really like that type of scenario though, because then you have your bridge guy, which and we know what Winston is, and maybe he can actually propel you to a winning season eventually, and maybe next year could be a year 2 with Bruce Arians. But Tua, especially if Tua did fall, that gives him another year to recover from that hip injury too, which you would obviously, I think any time off would benefit him at this point. So that would be, I really like that scenario. I don't know if Tua does fall to around those mid-round picks, but taking any quarterback out of those 4 that I'd mentioned, I think would be well worth the gamble. And you take a project guy. I mean, can they be worse than Winston? Like we know Winston, we know Winston has the arm. We know he can throw lots of yards, lots of touchdowns, but he also throws lots of picks. Are there any rookie quarterbacks that have come out that are that bad, like throwing with their decision making? I don't think so. Like, show me a bad quarterback that's done as bad as Winston has in regards to turnovers. I think you could
Daniel Jones.
Yeah, okay, Daniel Jones is on pace, but I like the cream of the crop here, and or this crop of quarterbacks, and so
the crop cream,
the cream crop cream, whatever the expression
cream of
is.
Wheat. So we're in the rabbit hole, Ozzy, and you put together this fantastic list of quarterbacks who are playing on expiring contracts. Let's kind of go down the list and just predict where we think they'll land. So I'm going to say this. We'll start with Jameis Winston. I think he's back in a Bucs jersey next year. I don't see him in any other jersey. I think at the minimum they tag him because I'm not sure if, Bruce Arians might like him. Yeah, I don't know. Like he likes those strong arm quarterbacks. He had great success with Carson Palmer and in Arizona in the mid 2010s. And I think if he thinks he can get to Jameis to work down the mistakes a little bit, maybe he sees something there. I'm not in Bruce Arians' head. I'm not sure if I want to be. So what's your guys' prediction for Jameis Winston? And we'll start going down the list here.
I'll let you go.
I have 2 things. Either I agree with you, Steve. I think back in Tampa fighting for a starting role, or a backup somewhere in the league. Not going in for the starting role. Those are my 2 predictions.
I joked last offseason that Jameis Winston would be a Patriot next year. I've since recounted that, and I think that we'll see him in a Bucs jersey. Similar to the scenario we just discussed. I think that's what's going to happen.
All right. So first on the list, let's just go down how you have it here in the docs. Drew Brees. I don't see him in anything else but a Saints jersey. I know it's kind of cliche, but one note, I'm sorry, just off topic. He passed the touchdown record from Peyton Manning on Monday night, and he ran around the stadium like pointing to the crowd and everything like that. I'm wondering if Brady surpasses him, and then like what if Brees surpasses him again? Like, are they going to stop the game every time to like go and salute the crowd? They're playing at the same time, and it's like, oh crap, Tom just broke the record. Drew drives down the field, throws a touchdown, game stops, points to the crowd, and this happens like 3 times during the game. That's a scenario we dreamt up.
I'm looking forward to this weekend. The Pats play on Saturday, so Brady, if he can throw three, or I think he needs to throw 3 touchdowns to surpass Breeze, maybe 4 to. I think it's 3 to tie. Yeah, 3 to tie and then 4 to surpass. So if Brady can throw 4 on the Bills defense, which I don't think is possible, if he does, then freaking the Pats are going to the Super Bowl. Just book it. Yeah, I mean, to your point, I think that it is kind of funny that I don't know if you really should be saluting, especially when you're in the competition with a guy who is also playing, to your point. Like, what are you supposed to do to that? Like, oh, he surpassed it again. Let's go.
I think it's more passing Manning, who is done. So, yeah. Sorry,
I want to see that scenario play out where they take turns.
I do too.
The game goes for like 6 hours because like the game has to stop, and they're like, yeah, okay.
Taking the ball they threw it with and putting it in a
There's no more footballs left in the game. They just keep surpassing each other. They're putting them in trophy cases. Anyways, Breeze is in a Saints jersey next year. I book it. I think they'll ride with him until he retires.
Yeah. I have Saints or retirement. That's what I have.
The same thing, but my prediction is that he's going to retire after this year. I think that they're going to ride the wave of whatever happens this playoffs. And then Teddy Bridgewater showed enough. I think that he's the franchise QB for the next foreseeable future.
All right. Next on the list, Tom Brady. Now this is weird. I don't know if this is just Twitter rumors, but I'm seeing a lot of reports of him getting linked to the Los Angeles Chargers. Tom, obviously from California, but I think he was from North California. He grew up a 49ers fan. And it's no secret that Bill, I think, wanted to go with Garoppolo over Brady, but they ended up trading Garoppolo because Brady and Kraft are quite tight. It's hard to imagine Tom Brady in any other jersey than a Patriots jersey. I say that in the same vein as what we just said about Drew, but I don't know, man. Like, considering how he's looked this year, you have to wonder if Bill finally pulls the trigger and doesn't bring him back. And there's also these other reports that like Brady is looking to sell his house in Boston or somewhere in that area. And he's also stepped down as like a head of a charity thing, and another, I think it was like Jason Tatum or another Boston athlete took a spot as like a chairman for this charity. I don't know. It could be speculation, but you know what? I'm going to go ballsy. I think Tom Brady's in a Los Angeles Chargers jersey next year. They're going to do something to bring the fans in. Let's say it happens.
Well, I disagree. I can't. I don't think that if he's not in a Patriots uniform, I don't think he's playing. I just, I don't know. Like I saw it. I'm at a loss for words just trying to process this. Like Colin Cowherd came out with something where he was going through a list of the teams that he could be on, and like his logic made sense, but I think that the emotional attachment to the Patriots for Brady, I think that's still there too. And so I don't think that he's going to want to I think if he were to do anything, it would be to retire. And so I think that's all that's going to happen next year. I think that all this speculation is pointed in the wrong direction. I think it's him aiming to retire after this year. Just maybe the Patriots told him, we're not bringing you back and whatever. But that's
What do you think?
Yeah. I actually didn't know Colin came out with that. Was it a good video?
Yeah, it was long. Good ones. It was long. And his logic made sense. He went with teams that are contenders who've got a good offensive line, got good weapons.
Well, I have a few here that probably he might have said. So I said the first one I said Patriots, obviously, if he comes back. I have the Dolphins on there just because of the links that I was seeing to it. That's not my favorite one for him to go to, but the other two, Steve, you mentioned the Chargers. I also have the Chargers on there. The situation's just perfect, and you're playing in a warm atmosphere, and everything's good there. But I have the Colts, man.
Mm.
The Colts make sense for me because he has weapons. He has Ebron. Ebron's still there. Hopefully not off contract, who would be a big tight end target for him.
Jack Doyle.
Ty, Jack Doyle, and that great O line, and that defense is better than it's shown lately.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's, and then he'd also want to do that just to give the middle finger to Peyton. So that's on there, and then I have retirement as the last one there as well. So obviously, I think the most, like, if we were giving percentages, Patriots and retirement would be my two highest, but the other ones are fun to talk about.
Yeah.
If I could just spoil the Colin video for you guys, he had Brady and McDaniels as a tandem going to Dallas to.
Right.
Jerry lets Dak walk, and Garrett goes and he brings in McDaniels, and Brady comes with them.
Tom Brady in a Dallas Cowboys uniform might make me just vomit uncontrollably for 16 straight weeks. Like, fuck.
Holy shit.
43-year-old building around them. Let's do it!
Hey, I mean, all the pieces are there. That's why Colin chose it. He said he had this formula of going through teams. Did he have any
other funny teams?
No, that was like the team that he settled on, was the Cowboys.
Wow. Okay. Next on the list, Eli Manning may have walked out of MetLife Stadium the final time as a New York Giant, got a standing ovation. His family met him at the tunnel. It was a great send-off. I think he retires. He just kind of seems like he's done. I'm not sure if – I don't know what team would pick him up in more than a backup role. I have retirement as the most likely route for him right now.
Same.
Yeah, same. I mean, what more do we need to see? If you want a guy that can check – down the ball every play, then he's your guy, but the league does not need that any more of that.
Phillip Rivers, I don't know what it is. He hasn't looked great this year, and there's been a lot of extraneous circumstances, obviously, with that team, lots of injuries, and they just, again, we've talked about it before, they seem to either have like really good years and then just really bad years. I can almost just see him hanging it up. Like, he seems like an uber competitive guy that maybe he won't, but to me, it just seems like he looked really battered and beat down this year, and I just think he has like 11 kids, so like, fuck, go spend some time with them and hang it up. I think that's the most likely scenario looking at that too. It's just sad because it's weird looking at these quarterbacks we grew up with and saying they're going to retire now. We all get old. What do you guys think with Phillip Rivers?
I have him retiring as well. It sucks to think about how the Chargers last year had one of the best rosters to make a Super Bowl run, and then they get ass blasted by the Patriots. And then this year, it's just
so sad for you.
Yeah. And then this year, it's just all downhill. And Phillip Rivers is turnover happy, and he's clearly not the same guy as years past. So I think that he's going to hang it up. His contract expires. There couldn't be a better way to just kind of organically let this end. And yeah.
Yeah, no, I don't really have much to add there. I think this is the time to go, man. He's really not having a good year, and that's with all the weapons. The roster didn't really, like, there were some injuries, yes, but he still had his weapons and was looking worse than ever. I really do believe. I agree with you, actually, completely.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah.
There you go. Guys, Dak Prescott, he's another one. It's weird seeing him in like anything but a Dallas uniform, but I'm looking through here, and what if the Las Vegas Raiders are just a little tired of Derek Carr, and maybe they release him with 1 year left on his contract, and they need a franchise quarterback heading into Vegas, but no Derek, they sell tickets, and I'm at the free agent roster here, and you know what? Long term, it's probably after a Tom Brady or Phillip Rivers or anyone like that. So what if they give Dak the money he so desperately craves? Dak Prescott is going to be a Las Vegas Raider next year. Derek Carr is over.
Scenario. I love the scenario for the stories that it would bring, but no, I don't think Tom Brady's replacing Dak in Dallas. I think that Dak is their long-term answer. I have mixed feelings on Dak, and I still don't know where I stand on him, but I think that they're just too invested in him, And I mean, I'd love to see a team like the Raiders, or if the Lions are done with Matt Stafford, like make a play on a guy like Dak. But I think that, yeah, like it's just, yeah, Dallas all the way for me.
I have the Cowboys written down here as well. I don't have any other logic than what Ozzy just said, so agreed.
All right, guys. Teddy Bridgewater, I think he's 28, but you know what? I think he re-ups with New Orleans regardless of what Breeze does. You have to think if he spends one more year on the bench there and he turns 29 or even 30 by the time he gets the chance to start, he could still have a pretty healthy like 8-year career there. And obviously, aside from that devastating knee injury, he hasn't sustained the wear and tear that many quarterbacks have sustained being a starter and since when he would have entered the league. He really excelled. He blew all our expectations out of the water, going 6-0, helping out in relief for Drew Brees. And I think he really likes it there. Like it seems like he really vibes with the culture there, and the team and the city loves him. I can't see him in anything else but a Saints jersey next year.
There you go. I have him as Saints as my first one, but then I actually put for a safe one, I actually put the Chargers in Tampa on there, bringing him in and competing for the starting job. I don't know, like if Rivers retires from the Chargers and they just have Tyrod Taylor there, bring in Teddy Bridgewater to compete for that, or bring him into Tampa even if they want to let him walk. Even though the thing about Tampa that was in my mind going to be a challenge was that, and you alluded to it earlier, Steve, is Bruce Arians type of quarterback. It's not that I'm saying he lacks arm strength, but he's not the big, strong arm Carson Palmer that we're all used to with the Bruce Arians-led teams. But I also put one as a stretch here, a long stretch. But I said the Bears. Give some more, maybe what you could say, a smart quarterback in that system. I'm not saying Mitch Trubisky's stupid, but Mitch Trubisky, like he likes to turn the ball over. He's been playing a lot better at the end here, but you bring a consistent quarterback into that offense with Matt Nagy and that defense, you are looking at a pretty good team right there. So, I mean, that's a stretch. I put stretch beside it because it's a stretch, but it's pretty stretchy. But yeah, there's some fun ones for you guys.
All right. Go ahead, Ozzy. Sorry.
Oh, yeah. No, I won't spend too much time on this. With Drew Brees retiring in my scenario, Teddy Bridgewater is going to be their guy. I mentioned it earlier, so that's all I got to say.
Nice.
But that was a stretch, that Teddy Bridgewater going to the Bears. It's a stretch, confirmed.
It's a stretch, yeah.
Really
Marcus Mariota, I don't know what kind of money he's going to be looking for based on his performance. Like he didn't get hurt and now he got benched. I almost wouldn't mind him as a backup in Seattle. It'd be kind of a cool look. He played his college ball in Oregon. He'd be up there in the Pacific Northwest, and he'd be one of the best backups in the league. And I think he'd be a great backup in Seattle. But I think he still thinks he probably can start somewhere. Except I just don't know where really he would go. I'm going through all the teams right now, and I'm trying to find one where I could see them like, hey, let's sign Mariota to compete for the job. The Chargers obviously are an option, but I'm going based on this reality that I've created where Tom Brady's now a Los Angeles Charger, so obviously they wouldn't bring in Marcus Mariota as well. Miami's probably going to get a top pick and draft a quarterback. Cincinnati, same thing. I'm trying to find if Dak leaves Dallas, I can see them taking a flyer on Mariota. But most likely, I'm going to say he's a backup in Seattle. I'm going to speak it into existence. Ozzy, what do you think?
Frick. This is going to sound so bad for our listeners now, because I genuinely think that Marcus Mariota would be a good fit with Josh McDaniels in New England. If Tom Brady retires like I predicted, I think that I would love to see what Marcus Mariota brings in New England. And I think that it would be too pretty to pass up. You got a good project in Jarrett Stidham. He's shown flashes, but you get a guy who, let's face it, he can win in the league, but he's just not consistent at it. So I think if you get him with a good coach, good coaching staff, and a good team around him, I would love to see Marcus Mariota in a Patriots jersey next year.
Ooh.
And I think that it's realistic too. I don't think that's too far out of the realm of possibilities. If Brady's gone, like, who are they going to go for? I don't see any guys on this list other than Mariota.
Well, if we're all going with our favorite teams, I think Mariota would be great on Tampa. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. No. I just have Marcus Mariota's backup on here. I wasn't really thinking. I think, as Steve, you said, he would be a top backup in the league, honestly. But how funny would it be if he went to Tampa with Winston and they had the 1 and 2 pick from that draft there, playing at it? But
yeah,
I don't see many options for him. Maybe jump in if I'm trying to go with something new, like to the Colts to put something against Brissett, seeing that like Mariota is more like his mobility and his mechanics are all very, very sound. It's just the decision making and the lack of ability to really take a lot of chances are there. But who knows? That was one of the more difficult ones for me.
I just have a thought here. What about we'll get to this team in a sec, but what about the Panthers?
I was thinking about that too, but they have 2 young quarterbacks who Greer hasn't showed shit, but Allen showed some flashes. But I like that. Could you imagine that speed in the backfield with him and McCaffrey?
Oh yeah,
it'd be like zoom, you know.
Are you just getting another Cam Newton at that point though? If you're the Panthers and they're 5-9, if they lose out, you're looking at a top 10 pick. They might even go to the draft.
Yeah, that's fair.
Okay, let's talk about Mariota's replacement, Ryan Tannehill. It's been discussed that the Titans are looking to offer him an extension based on his play as of late. I'm wondering if that hinges on them making the playoffs or not. If they go 9-7 again, I don't really see why you just give him a fat extension because you've got the same result the last 4 years or 3 years. But I see this as the most likely scenario, and maybe they try to build on this. I think Ryan Tannehill is the Titans franchise quarterback. It might be like a 3-year deal, somewhere in the mid to high 20s per year. They're not going to give anything crazy like a 5-year extension. He's already 32, but I could see like a healthy 3-year deal that would make him and the team happy. Ozzy, what do you think?
No, I'm totally on board with everything that you just said. I think that's exactly what's going to happen. And I mean, it helps that the news came out that they're trying to talk an extension. So
yeah, exactly.
I agree. Yeah, no, I have nothing else to add to that. That's where I have him going.
All right. Time for perhaps the most polarizing quarterback on this podcast. It splits us apart, pits us against one another, and it makes for some good sound bites, as can be seen from our previous ones. Cam Newton, not a free agent, but it looks like they're moving in a different direction. Ron Rivera's out. Kyle Allen, they've seen a lot of him. They're starting Will Grier. They're going to see what they have for the future. It sounds like Newton's on his way out. And there's even rumors that Newton might be done with football, but we'll see, depending on how he recovers from this foot injury. I said this like way back in the trade deadline, and I'm going to stick to it. I think Cam Newton is a Chicago Bear next year. And Billy Bob's Bears, Zach, your father is going to be through the roof because they're going to have that defense. They're going to have Matt Nagy, and they're finally going to have a quarterback that can make plays when necessary. Cam Newton is the new franchise quarterback for the Chicago Bears in 2020. Zach, we'll go right to you.
I'm going to send you guys a shocker right now and tell you that Cam Newton's not much at this point in his career of an upgrade to Mitch Trubisky. I think he's going to be either playing in the XFL or retiring.
Stop it.
No, I don't know where to go with him. He doesn't go to, man. He just doesn't fit anymore. You're going to send him to the Dolphins and give him a shot, but they're going to take quarterback high. Tampa to try and go against Winston. I kind of want to hear what Ozzy has to say here because I know you guys like him more, but I don't see him starting anywhere. Beating out any starters at this point, or with what do you think he comes at a price tag though? That's kind of the problem I'm thinking.
Well, what do you mean, in a trade?
Yeah, you'd have to trade.
Yeah, I know, because his price tag is $21 million, so I'm not too.
Who's going to pay him that? I'm saying.
But if he's going to be a starter, there's 3 teams that I could see realistically getting him. It's the Chargers if Phillip Rivers retires, the Raiders if they want to bring in some competition or just move off of Derek Carr. I think him and Josh Jacobs would be pretty a pretty nice duo.
I just imagine Cam Newton in that silver and black uniform in Vegas, man. That just that's
Yeah.
nice, Ozzy. That's nice.
Actually, I got two more teams. Sorry, the Chicago
Yeah.
Bears I could see as well if they want to move off Trubisky. But you've got the first overall pick with the Bengals. What if they go Chase Young, and they have a little bit of a desire to see what they can get with Cam Newton? You build a team around Cam Newton, and you start on the defense. You get Chase Young.
Their first round
And,
pick, their offensive lineman who was out for the year, he's back.
Jonah
Next
Williams is back
Yeah.
next year.
You
Yeah.
guys are losing
They've
your
got-
minds.
Joe Mixon.
But what would they do at quarterback if they go Chase Young? Like Chase Young is a very viable option for them. So they would have to get a quarterback. Andy Dalton's not the option. So you bring somebody in. We could even talk about Marcus Mariota again. I think that they could bring somebody in if they go Chase Young. I don't know where they're going, but
They have the first overall pick. They're not going anywhere other than quarterback.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Chase Young is that good.
I understand he's that good, but the level of quarterbacks behind him are just... It's not the same thing as the whole Garrett thing in 2017, where behind him you had Mitchell Trubisky as the so-called number one quarterback, and that, as we see now, it's not. But what I'm getting at here is when these quarterback needy teams at number one and this deep of quarterback depth in the draft, the quarterback's going to Cincinnati, who needs a quarterback. That one is... And I don't think you guys are also saying this after, like, you guys are all sold. Like, nobody thinks Trubisky's good. Yeah, everyone's like, he's had 2 years in the league. Steve, you agree with Tristan on the 3-year rule. First of all,
This is his third year, and he's not looking too hot.
Oh shit, it is his third year.
Yeah.
That's his second year.
Joke's on you, buddy boy.
Yeah, freaking Baker's second year. He ain't looking hot. Damn it. Yeah, I guess, but I don't know. You're not getting much better of a quarterback.
If you're going to go that route, because teams would go that route if they say that Chase Young's the best player in the draft, you get the best player in the draft. I don't think that scenario is something that... Like, I think it's going to be something we talk about right until the draft. Are they going Chase Young, or are they going Joe Burrow?
They take Chase Young, and then they trade AJ Green for Cam Newton.
Oh my god, you guys. No, they're not.
Oh, there you go, Steve.
It's too deep at quarterback. Yes, I would agree with you if it wasn't so deep at quarterback, but the production we've seen from the quarterbacks this year in college is insane. I think... Like Burrow, is it Burrows or
Joe Burrow?
Yeah, is just a fanatic, man. And especially if they keep Zach Taylor on as their head coach, as an offensive-minded guy, I don't see them going another direction.
That's true. He gets his guy, yeah.
Okay. But yeah, I see what you guys are saying. I'm hard on Cam, but I don't see him as a viable starter anymore.
That's fair. All right, guys, let's get into our... go ahead.
One more thing. The Raiders, was that you, Ozzy, or that was you, Ozzy?
I said the Raiders.
That was actually, as you explained that, I was like, that's probably the most likely. Like, his star-studded, like, the way he just, like...
He's an icon.
He is an icon. Yeah. The way he dresses, what he does.
He so fits Vegas, man.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. The theatrics and... You look at what they do before the Golden Knights games in the NHL. Like I can't wait to see what they're gonna do with the Raiders brand in Vegas, man. Like it's gonna take off.
Yeah. I'm excited, and we can make a Vegas trip for the amateur agency.
With all that money we have in our amateur agency bank account. Week 16 previews, guys. And good luck to those who are in their fantasy finals. Week 16 is always the final championship weekend. If you have your league set up right, it should be week 16. In Zach's league, I'm heading up against his dad, Billy Bob's Bears. So, which I don't know how. I was looking at his team, man. Like those guys just went on a run, but like he doesn't have the big names, but like he put together quite the team. So good for Bill. Hoping to crush him this weekend. Don't tell Bill I said that. But anyways, the games that will be factoring into your fantasy finals, we got the Buffalo Bills paying a little visit to the New England Patriots. Now, we've all pretty much agreed that the Bills are likely to finish in that 5 seed, barring any monumental setbacks from the New England Patriots. However, no one circles the wagons quite like the Buffalo Bills. I'm taking. I'm gonna take the Bills, man. I think the Patriots. They looked really good against the Bengals last week, but that's the Bengals, Aussie. And before that, they were struggling against some pretty good defenses, including when they played earlier in the year. I think they only beat the Bills by what, 6 points? Yeah. So I'm looking at this, and Josh Allen, and those boys, they just came off of a star-studded Sunday night football. They're on prime time. They're feeling good, and they're gonna walk into Foxborough and punch New England in the mouth and win like 17-13. It's gonna be a tight game, but Aussie will go right back to you.
Steve, the problem with this is that I could exactly see this playing out, but the Bills got a shorter week because you got the Sunday night game, and then we're playing Saturday afternoon. So short week, young team that's like, I mean, they got some success, but I just trust the team that's done it time and again. And with our defense kind of showing life again against Andy Dalton, I mean, that's not saying much, but really getting confidence back, I think that we'll be able to shut this team down. And like the Steelers, they were able to do some things against Josh Allen. I actually didn't watch the game, but seeing the final score, it's kind of nice to know that, I mean, a good defense. Like, the Bills are good, but I'm just trying to say that they're not going to be a team that's like the Chiefs and can just make mincemeat out of the Patriots. So it's really going to come down to the defenses, and I just trust Brady, and I'm gonna put my faith in the 43-year-old, and let's go. Let's ride the wave, baby. Pat's offense is turning around.
Zachary.
You're gonna hate me, Steve, for how I put this because it's gonna turn your views on it a bit. In Patriots fashion, they're going to go into Foxborough somehow in Week 16 in the most important game of the year. They're gonna go in Foxborough against the Bills, who came off an emotional game in prime time, where the Patriots came off of a confidence-building game against the Cincinnati Bengals and totally destroyed them, got their offense rolling. And they're going to come into Foxborough, of course. There's no way a more important game was going to be played on the road. So it's going to be in Foxborough against Allen, who has struggled against them.
The best a man can get, Zachary!
Right, though? Am I not right? And then they're going to frickin' beat them, and then everyone's going to be like, hey, we get the Pats in the second seed and a bye again. It's just going to happen that way, and I know it is. It sucks, but it's going to happen. And the Bills have my favorite DB in the league, Hyde, and I just...
Tre'Davious White.
No, I like Micah Hyde.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Tre'Davious White.
No, he was sweet, though, last game. Man,
yeah.
How many picks did he get?
He's sexy.
3?
2.
Or 2, yeah. That was insane. But, man, that team is sweet. I actually really like the Bills' defense, and I like how they grind on offense. Yeah. It's kind of like an old-school football style that brings it back, and it's like, yeah, we can get behind this a little bit.
Totally.
And I love how it just doesn't shock you that they're in your division, and you're just cool with it.
No, I was talking about this with my dad today. I said, because he joked about the Bills beating the Patriots and taking the division, and the Bills are a likable team. I just love Josh Allen. I love what they did in the offseason. I advocated for what they did in the offseason. I had a very heated debate in our group chat with Tomac about who had a better offseason. And, I mean, look at who's freaking laughing now. The Bills are 10-4 or whatever it is. They're killing it. And I just love, like, I mean, if they beat the Patriots and they even take the division, I can't be mad because this team is just so likable.
You get to say that after 6 Super Bowls, man.
True. They've done so well. But for the Patriots, real quick, like, I love what they've been doing with N'Keal Harry the last couple weeks. Julian Edelman's battling injuries, but hopefully he gets kind of healthy. Mohamed Sanu had a couple drops last week. But if we can kind of mess up or fix those little, like, those errors that we're making, those mental errors, this team the offense will get right back on track. And I'm sorry, but the Bills might just have to be the person that suffers. But I just wanted to touch on the Patriots' weapons again because it's not a problem. I don't see it being a long-term problem is what I was trying to say.
Fair enough. Let's head over to the NFC. We got the Rams and Niners. Again, like I said earlier, the NFC, this game doesn't have a lot of implications on the NFC playoff picture. Obviously, if the Niners lose and the Seahawks lose, Week 17 means just as much. If they both win, it means just as much. And if either one win or lose, then there's still a lot of other scenarios that have to take place to make Week 17 not mean anything. So that all being said, the Rams are still fighting for their playoff lives. They need the Vikings to lose out. But they've just been very inconsistent. They got that Super Bowl kind of loser hangover. And the Niners are probably going to be pretty pissed coming off that loss. One of the Seattle beat reporters who used to work for San Francisco, or for the 49ers, or covered them, he said their language this week has been very similar to that of the Seahawks, who came off that loss to the Rams, and they look like they're going out with something to prove. I think the Niners are going to take it to the Rams. It won't be a Dallas beating bad, but it's going to be pretty significant. I'm going to say the Niners by 10. Stick a fork in the Rams. They have to go back to the drawing board and kind of retool with all those big contracts that they have coming up not coming up, that they have locked in, and no first round picks for the foreseeable future. They're going to have to figure out how to retool that team to be a big contender in the NFC again. So I have I have the Niners by 10. Ozzy, we'll go to you with the advocate for the Niners.
Yeah, you bet. I really love what the Niners have been showing me on offense, and I think that because they were so battered at defense last week, like it kind of makes sense why they lost. But you get Richard Sherman back. I love this defense. It's cool. It's got like the perfect storm, because the Rams offensive line, I mean, it's gotten better throughout the year, but it's still up against that defensive line. I think that's where the battle is really going to be won and lost, as it always is. And the Niners are going to win that battle. So I'm with you, Steve. I'll take the Niners by 10.
Yeah, I don't have a ton to add. I think you guys jumped on most of the points there. The Rams they got a little bit of fuel in the tank from the previous few weeks before the Cowboys, and they were showing some life on offense, getting the run game going, but I think they're just going to run into that brick wall, and the brick wall is just going to run at them somehow, grow legs and do that, and then just smash itself like against them really hard, and then take the W.
I hate when brick walls run at you.
I know, it's terrifying.
Oh, she's a brick wall. Okay, we got the Cowboys-Eagles, which this game, for once, a Cowboys-Eagles game isn't on prime time, and it's probably the one game that should be in prime time. I don't even know what they have as prime time for Sunday night this week. I can't see it topping this game, though. Anyways, Cowboys-Eagles, season's on the line. It's in Philadelphia, but you know what, man? The Eagles just are at such a deficit when it comes to their receiver room. I mean, was it Greg Ward is their, I want to say, best receiver left right now? I'm not sure if they're getting anyone back this week. The Cowboys just look like they're rolling right now. Yes, the Eagles won last week, but it was quite tight until that very final touchdown in garbage time that the Eagles got. I'm going to say the Cowboys win this one and put the Eagles' kind of tumultuous season to bed. And the Cowboys, I don't think they'll clinch. They still have to win out or win their final game. That'd be it. That'd be it. So, yeah, the Cowboys are going to clinch it. I'll say Cowboys by a touchdown. Sorry, Tristan. Zach, go ahead.
I'm not far off with that, Steve. I think the Cowboys, in their one victory over a viable opponent like the Rams, who was on a hot streak there, it just showed that, when this team is moving on all cylinders, like all cylinders are moving, I don't know that saying, but anyways, when they're all working together and that offense is clicking, they can put up a lot of points, and that defense can slow down any offense when it's moving at its best. So I think the ceiling for the Cowboys is higher, and for that reason, I'm taking the Cowboys by 10.
Ozzy.
Yeah. I was thinking about this, and the Eagles are such a inconsistent team. Like they, even when they beat the Packers earlier on in the year, they come out and just explode all over the Packers, and make them look silly. But
yeah,
I don't like what they have on offense right now. like you said, with Greg Ward's your best guy, or JJ Arcega-Whiteside is not catching anything. A good prospect, but not a good transition for him into the NFL. So I think they got to just look to next year, and that'll happen as the Cowboys beat them. I think that it could be. I want to say it's going to be a blowout, but I'll make it close. I'll say by 10, just like Zach did.
Ooh, okay.
Because I'm a coward and I don't want to venture out.
Packers Vikings, guys. I don't know how to read this game because I've said all year the Packers look like a fraud of a 1 or 2 seed team. Their offense looks like it looks the same. And it's not just me saying this, like it's a lot. I've seen a lot of like PFF people, a lot of the analytics based Twitter saying that this offense really hasn't changed despite the new coaching staff. It's still Rodgers kind of going off a wing and a prayer, still kind of running everything. They have a strong run game now, and obviously their defense has made big strides. And on the other flip of the coin, you have Kirk Cousins and the Vikings who, sometimes struggle to show up in big games and struggle to kind of put their stamp on a team and prove themselves to be a legitimate contender in the NFC. So I don't know who to trust this game. Like it's not really, it's almost like a flip of the coin. I'm going to say the Vikings by 3. It's going to come down to maybe a last minute field goal or a 2-minute drive and the Vikings will pull through and get the W.
Who first? Me?
Yeah, Zach, since you spoke up, you silly guy.
All righty. You know what? This is in prime time, is it not?
Yeah. Monday
All
Night
right.
Football.
Green Bay's going to win. Kirk Cousins.
Hey, no.
Oh, shit. You know what? Timeout. I reversed my pick. Packers by 3. Kirk Cousins is going to throw a pick on the final drive. Book it.
Yeah,
Zach talked me into it.
I'm right there with you. As much as I like Kirk Cousins, he's not as bad as Tristan says. He does not, even though he played actually pretty good against Seattle, this last one, the whole team didn't play enough to win that game. So I think it's, even if Kirk plays well, I don't know. I have more belief in Aaron Rodgers in prime time than I do, even though he got destroyed by San Fran this year. But
yeah, and the Eagles.
Yeah, man. Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So it's a difficult one now.
Put some respect on their name, on those Vikings.
Yeah, I do. I respect the Vikings as a team very much, and I originally had that. Then I thought about Kirk Cousins. Now I'm thinking about Aaron Rodgers as of late. Man, it's going to be a tie. No, I'm just kidding. I can't be a coward. I'm going to go with Green Bay by 3.
Fair play. Fair play.
Ozzy?
I really love what I've seen from Kirk Cousins in prime time this year. Actually, he beat the Cowboys up, and then against the Seahawks, when they looked like the Seahawks were kind of going to run away with it, he kept going toe-to-toe with them, and that was something we've never seen from Kirk Cousins in primetime. So I think we have a new and improved Kirk Cousins, first of all. I am really concerned about Dalvin Cook possibly not playing, but with that being said, although the concern is great, I like Alex Madison and Mike Boone as backups. Those guys have, well, especially Madison, he's really shown to be almost starter caliber, and hopefully he can kind of carry the load against the Packers run defense that hasn't been that great a lot of times this season. So I think that this is a game that the Vikings really need to just kind of prove to the world that they should be considered a contender in the playoffs, because I think that there's still a little bit of that doubt, like you guys said, with Kirk Cousins in primetime and stuff. So with that being said, I'm going to go with the Vikings here. It's going to be close. I think by 4. Ooh. But I think that Kirk Cousins is, even if you go back to that first meeting between these two teams, Kirk Cousins made some boneheaded mistakes and threw a couple red zone picks, had a few turnovers there and stuff. So if he can just limit those, or maybe even play just like a normal human game where you don't throw any picks.
That's asking a lot.
I mean, it's asking a lot, but just don't make boneheaded mistakes like that, and you're going to win, I think, because I like the Vikings defense. I like their weapons on offense. Just go ahead and put a stamp on what's been a really good season, and take a dub against the Packers.
All right. Well, we are in disagreement there, Ozzy, but that's what makes this fun. Really quick note on Canadian Corner. We don't need to do the whole intro. CFL schedule was released yesterday. So amateur agency, we're gonna have to pick our next game to do the raffle. Obviously, it's a ways away, but that was a lot of fun last year. We're gonna try to make it even better in 2020. And be sure to check out your favorite CFL team schedule. It should be lots of good games out there, and I think they have the Grey Cup rematch week 1, so a lot of cool things going on there. And in for a quick food take, I put it up on my Instagram poll. Toffee Fay, or Toffee Fee if you were, is the greatest Christmas chocolate out there. Turtles are a close second, but Toffee Fay, you get the caramel, you get the nut in the middle, and you get 2 kinds of chocolate that wrap around the nut, and it just makes her the perfect treat. So I'm interested in your guys' thoughts. Ozzy, I see you shaking your head no. Please elaborate.
My old pal Ferrero Rocher would like a word on that, Steve. There is nothing better than downing a tree-shaped sculpture of Ferrero Rochers. I was talking about this with somebody last weekend, and I mean those are the pinnacle of Christmas chocolates.
I didn't know I was speaking with a millionaire here who can just afford a Ferrero Rocher Christmas tree of chocolates. Ozzy. Yeah, I bought Toffee Fay at the dollar store for like $2 each. So $2 each a case.
Yeah,
12.
You gotta treat yourself.
True. Zach,
there's nothing better than that, unwrapping that gold wrapper and just this nice little. Yeah, exactly.
Are those the ones with like the crunch on the outside too?
Yeah. Yeah. I guess you could say that.
Welcome.
I don't know. I don't think those are the best either.
All right. Zach.
I don't think it counts as a. Is it a holiday one? Is it a Lind?
I want to hear now. I want to hear. Is Lind? That's what. Yeah. Lind.
Man, that or whatever it's called.
I don't know if would you consider that one, because that one's like an every holiday one.
Okay. If we had to take it away, I have to go Turtles, Steve. Nobody in their right mind would say the trophy. How do you even say it?
Toffee, sir.
Toffee Fay. Yeah, I don't think I've never heard anyone even say their name, honestly. So this is just psychotic. You're saying that's the best holiday. Turtles, at least. Like, I'm happy you said Turtles.
They're close second.
They're much higher and above.
Oh God, make me sick.
Toffee Fay, like
or Toffee Fee, or Toffee Fee.
If you if there's more than one interpretation, then it's too much.
I was about to say.
Way to go.
Is it Tortels? I don't know.
I say that exactly as I use Ferrero Rocher, which could be like Ferrero Rocher or something. Like, so Turtles, I guess, by that grounds takes it.
Like, this backfired.
Before we. Sorry.
Go ahead.
The Rocher things, man. All I remember from those are the freaking gold commercials of the gods. And Ozzy's a god amongst us, man. It's like only from the heavens, whatever.
Before we run out of time, Coward of the Week, we already alluded to this. Budweiser Canada, you fucking idiots, you clowns. Don't ever talk to me or my son again. This is why I drink Old Mill. I'm just disgusted. I'm hurt. I'm offended. And I will never sip your beer again. Ozzy, care to elaborate?
Well said. I'm just, like I said, I used to be an avid Budweiser drinker. And that will, this cuts deep. And we worked really hard on that video. It was the best video out of all of them. I think that's fair to say.
Yeah.
That's objective. That's not even just my opinion. That's just facts.
We asked our friends and family, and they too said the same thing. So
yeah, this really cuts deep, and it's going to be a while. I think that this Coward of the Week is this really sticks.
Zach,
Budweiser, you brought out the fan in us for about 10 days. You brought out that young child fan that we had deep inside us, excited to go to the Super Bowl and put all this work forward. You know what you did? You crushed those dreams, Budweiser Canada. You up. Fuckers. Yeah. So please lick it where the sun don't shine. And you are a coward. Thank you.
To the entire staff of Budweiser Canada. And your families, you were all cowards.
Holy crap. Anybody affiliated with Budweiser?
If you no,
Holy crap.
If you've ever drank Budweiser and been in Canada, you're a coward. That means I'm a coward. So,
that means I'm a coward.
Coward too.
Yeah, so I guess we all just go down with the ship. Folks,
Canadians' words.
we're gonna try to get a special episode out on the 22nd. We're all gonna be in the same city and potentially record it won't be a full hour episode, maybe just kind of get us talking during a game or something. In the event that doesn't happen, we wish you all a very Merry Christmas over next week. Obviously, it's been a lot of fun doing this, and we can't wait to go into the new year with new ideas, new concepts, and new videos to send into Budweiser Canada to send us places that we probably don't belong. And no, it's been a pleasure recording for you in 2019 if this is our last episode, but I think we'll try to get something in on the 22nd. You can find me on Twitter at SteveBolin22. You can find me on Instagram at SteveBolin_. Be sure to check out our YouTube. We might even throw up this Skype version of our podcast on YouTube if possible, just to add something up there. And check us out on all our social media, and be sure to subscribe and leave a review in the podcast, wherever you're listening. Ozzy, where can the fine folks find you?
Well, first off, you're talking about the next year's CFL contest or whatever. And I just wanted to make my little announcement that this January I will be starting with the BC Lions as an account exec. So we will be I'll be trying to get some pull with the boys here and use the amateur agency private jet, and we'll fly everybody down to BC. We'll fly everybody to Vancouver for a game, and we'll tailgate. Yeah, it won't be Budweiser sponsoring that, that's for sure. But yeah, so we'll be we'll get the whole squad down there. But you can find me on Instagram and Twitter at AustinPaul_. That's Austin with a Y and not an I.
And Ozzy, I was going to bring that up for you. I wasn't sure if you wanted to announce that or not, but I'm glad you brought it up. And congratulations from all of us here.
Heck yeah!
Zach,
thank you.
Where
Yes.
can we find you, buddy?
All right. Yes. Congratulations, Oz. That's super exciting. Means we have to go visit him in Vancouver. Maybe do a special show there. You never know. But yeah, you can find me on Twitter at Zach Foth and on Instagram at ZachFoth_. And as always, I will be living the dream. So there we go.
Everybody, enjoy your holidays. We'll try to get to you on the 22nd or shortly thereafter. And if not, Merry Christmas and Godspeed. I think we could just end the call. Oh, no, don't end the call. We just got to end the recording.
Stop recording.
Yeah, there we go.